Hello, guys, and welcome to Dummy Football Podcast. This is a show that me and my brother created, came up with, and want to introduce to you guys where we just talk about the latest and hottest football news around the world. Before we get it started, I just want to introduce ourselves to you guys so you guys have an idea of what football clubs we support and how we got into football and why. I'm gonna start with myself. I got into football around the 2010 World Cup when it started. That's when I started watching it and followed football from there. I support Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Milan, AC Milan, and Cruz Azul. I follow Cruz Azul because of my father. He's the reason why I started supporting the club. I follow Real Madrid because of Ricardo Kaká. I follow Manchester City when Aguero made his move from Atletico to the city, and I follow AC Milan just because it was a game against Barcelona, and I seen that Kevin Prince Boateng scored from them, and ever since then I've been following that team. So without further doubt, I'm gonna introduce you to Junior, my oldest brother.
Hi guys. It's really hard to point down when I started like actually following football, but it's more like it was more to like fit in because that was like the thing that we just played FIFA and everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna join the soccer team," type of thing. But the earliest memories is watching my dad watch Cruz Azul, and I was not really pay attention much to it. It's just like, all right. But then I would go go outside and kick the ball and play with it. And then I would follow European football because one of my uncles he would have Sky Sports, and then you would follow the Champions League. So that was like my first experience with like high pace or like at least the most sophisticated type of like football you could say, like more intense, better than the. Because I remember watching the league and and if I was just watching Liga MX, I would not be a fan. It was pretty. They're slow, like. But once you like, I remember I think it was Liverpool against who was it? I can't remember who it was, but it was Liverpool, and it was Fernando Torres Liverpool, Xabi Alonso Liverpool, and that's when I was like, this guy, I need to follow this guy. So that's when I really got into it, and then after that, just I started following Cruz Azul and watched the games. It's the most disappointing club to follow early on,
Yeah,
but that's where you kind of get the feel of what following the team is, because they
yeah,
were not
yeah.
successful when you were watching.
Yeah, yeah. Followed that. That was a really test of our passion and friendship for that club.
Yeah,
For all of us, for all three of
more
us.
like it's just a passion of like how much we care for my dad. Really, I think we all could all agree with that.
Yeah,
How much we love our dad, and it's just like there's a team my dad supports, there's a team we're supporting.
yeah. So
Well, the teams I support, why I support them? Brazil, my dad, obviously, Barcelona, Lionel Messi, Barcelona. That's when you just saw this little guy, and you're like, holy shit! I never seen something like it. I've seen something similar to it, but not like that. It was the ball was glued to his feet.
yeah,
And then Chelsea, when Fernando Torres moved, I almost became a Liverpool fan at that point. I was just following players and where they played, and then gotta love that club, whether they suck or
right,
not, like Chelsea is doing right now.
right.
And then after that, it was the team I followed. After that, it was Milan, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic era. Started following them then, and then the Bayern Munich era was when they had Mario Götze in that team. Before that, when they, or not Mario Götze, Mario Gomez, the Mario Gomez era, the Robin, even the Ribery, PSG when Zlatan moved there. I like follow this team, and they always, and we'll just probably don't get into it how I followed other clubs in France.
Yeah,
I just like the Olympic line. I like the Lille because of Hazard. Another reason why I was like, oh hell yeah, Chelsea's coming to Chelsea. But I just follow like French football. I just thought it was like somewhat unknown. I like the unknown or not being like the other people. That's why I also follow Dutch football a little bit here and there. And my love for PSV, they're the farmers, what they call them, the farmers club.
right.
So it was more like I didn't want to go to the Ajax, which is they're very known for how beautiful they play. So I wanted to kind of
Be different.
I
Different.
already had that with be different because I already had Bayern Munich and they're just a powerhouse. I just
Right.
don't want to have another powerhouse again. So that
Yeah.
was the reason, and I just
I guess it's different for us since we don't live in Europe, so we don't have like that close. Because I know some
yeah,
people they just follow one club, and that's their club, and you
yeah,
know,
and I but
and it's different
you
from
know
us because we just watch all the leagues because we don't, we're just
yeah, like I said,
rolling
like
life.
it's kind of jarring to just watch La Liga MX when it's so slow paced.
Yeah.
And the same with MLS when they're like MLS kind of still there's some it's like oh my god this is a bad game but it's getting better.
All right.
Having gone there, LA
Without
Galaxy.
further ado, and I think Junior took on most of our time, guys. But
Before
without
we
that,
took over,
let me
I'll be muted from now on.
let introduce you to our youngest brother, Jordan.
what's up? I thought that would be funny if I just said sub, but it wasn't, obviously. I played soccer when I was 5 years old in 2005. I didn't really follow a soccer team for 4 or 5 years. But the first team I remember falling in love with was Cruz Azul. But it wasn't just because my dad watched it. It was because my uncle and my dad would talk about it with some passion about it. And then as you get older, you start realizing I do love this club. But it's not just because of my dad, but it's something that club represents stuck with me. Because at any point you could just switch from a club. Like there has to be some sort of passion there. I guess like Junior was saying, it could be because of passion for my dad. But there's times when I would be watching the games and my dad wouldn't be watching the games. But that was the main team, and it still is. I consider the main team from all the teams I follow. I follow the English Premier League, not closely right now. I mostly just watch Arsenal, and I guess you could say that's kind of it's one of the biggest clubs online. But I don't really follow them with how other people follow them, or like saying that with blind hope. I guess you could say. I started following them in 2011 because Junior was watching them play Chelsea, and I was like, well, the team with red is obviously the cooler looking team. I'm gonna root for them. And turns out they went undefeated when I was 5 years old, so I had no idea that they were that good then. I joined at a bad time. If you're an Arsenal fan, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Then I became a Valencia fan because of FIFA Online. My brother Junior picked Barcelona. Calvin picked Real Madrid for Kaká. And he was like, well, you can't pick any of our teams. So they were like, pick this team. They have a really good striker. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is David Villa, probably one of the best strikers in Spain. And I just fell in love with the logo, the jersey. It was weird because the jersey has so much colors, but the jersey is just white. And I became an Inter fan after they won the Champions League because I got the magazine Fútbol Total. That's a magazine in Mexico of them winning the trophy, and they highlighted all their games, and I thought it was pretty neat. The colors also look pretty dope, if I would say so myself. The blue and black, but that's how I became fans of those teams. Also in the MLS, I follow Atlanta United, but that's more of a loose follow because there's sometimes you can't watch the games because they black them out of certain areas, so it makes it harder to watch those games. It's weird how it's easier to watch a European game than a game in your own freaking country. But I used to follow Borussia Dortmund. I kind of don't really like them anymore. I'm more of a Marco Royce fan, but that's probably it. But out of the three of us, I was the best at soccer.
Yeah, I don't think me and Junior can disagree with that. You're probably a better player of all three of us.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Because you're left-footed. That's it.
I actually could kick with my right now.
But then,
I,
and you're faster than us.
another thing,
Well, now you're
we all
stronger.
love FIFA. I don't know if we got that point across, but that was the game we all played. We didn't
Yeah,
really play Call of Duty. I played more of the Call of Duty than them,
yeah,
and it's just been a sport. It's a very fun sport, a very fun sport to watch once you get to know it. People say it's boring. Football is a lot more boring because you're just watching commercials every 5 minutes. So that's how we became fans of soccer. It's from playing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also
yeah,
I don't know if you guys can, you know, is this how you feel, but it's also like a bonding thing. Like
yeah,
this is our bonding thing. Like that's why we
yeah,
make the podcast. We talk
yeah,
about football every other day.
yeah. Now, what I was gonna say is that all three of us have different teams, and I would say the league that we watch the most is the Spanish and the Premier League. And, the league I make is, I think we all have that one common one. But other than that, mostly we have our own teams, and so it's always we debate about it, and we have as every other football fan, we have our own opinions and our own takes on things. So we felt that why not just share our thoughts and share what we think to other viewers who might have the same takes or might have different takes. But without further ado, the World Cup starts this Sunday. We wanted to get this out just in time so we can have an overlook of all the teams participating in the World Cup. Um, we'll talk about who we think is going to be the dark horse in the competition, who we think is going to be the disappointment, who we're going to predict to be in the final, and overall who we think is going to win it. So without
Yeah,
further ado, let's get into Group A. We have Ecuador, Netherlands, Qatar, and Senegal. Very quickly, we're going to go with Ecuador squad. For
Hmm.
goalkeepers, they have Moises Ramirez, Alexander Dominguez, Hernan Galindez. Defenders, we have Piero Hincapie, Robert Arbeloda, Pervis Estupinan, Angelo Preciado, Jackson Poroso, Javier Arriaga, Felix Torres, Diego Palacios, William Pacho. For midfielders, Carlos Grueso, Jose Cifuentes, Alan Franco, Moises Caicedo, Angel Mena, Jeremy Sarmiento, Ayrton Preciado, Sebastián Méndez, Gonzalo Plata, Romario Ibarra, Jorge Riasco, Kevin Rodriguez, Michael Estrada, and Ener Valencia. So, Junior, we'll start with first of you. What do you think about that Ecuador squad?
Yeah, it's they're fast. That's how because I remember. I mean, most of our knowledge is FIFA and then La Liga, and so I know Estupian is fast, and also Hincapié, Piero Hincapié. They're both defenders, but having a solid defense and being able to catch up to fast players is going to be pretty important, especially when they're not gonna probably not gonna have the ball that much.
Yeah, just looking at those forwards, I look at Michael Estrada, Ener Valencia, Angel Mena, players that can attack you on the counterattack that are really fast on the counterattack and are really dangerous on the break. I think they're going to be a team that's going to cause trouble in the Group A. I don't think if they're going to have enough to get out of the group stage, but I feel like they can compete with some of the teams with that are in their group. What about your thoughts, Jordan?
well, yeah, when you're naming the names, there's players that you've heard the names before, and they might be like in the Sudamerica League or Libertadores or Liga MX, but the names that stood out to me was Alan Franco, the center back for Atlanta United. He played for Atlanta United for 3 seasons, I think, and he was on loan from an Argentinian team, if I remember correctly. But I remember him as a very short center back, which I always think is weird whenever you have a short center back like Martinez in Manchester United. Also, another player that I think could stand out is Gonzalo Plata, who used to play for Sporting as a right mid, and
Yeah,
he's very, very young but very, very promising.
and
Yeah,
Another
fast.
player who had a good season this year was Michael Estrada with Cruz Azul, obviously a fan favorite of ours. He came in from DC United on loan, and he scored 3 or 4 goals, which were very crucial goals. And I could see him being a big problem during crosses.
yeah,
Definitely going to be a problem for Qatar, Senegal, and Netherlands in the aerial space. Angel Mena is short, 5'7", which is short. I know there's people that are 5'7" that aren't short, but he is a very fast player too. that could get you on the counterattack. So it's a very dangerous team, more attacking than defending. I think the struggles might come defensively.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the players we all forgot to mention, but Moises Caicedo from Brighton, he had a standout season later on at the last season, and he's been pretty much keeping that same pace this season with Brighton. And um, you know, wish them all the luck. Let's see what they can do in the Group A. The next team is Netherlands. One of the standouts that are missing from the squad is obviously Wijnaldum, that he got injured and was left out of the squad. But so the goalkeepers they have Justin Bigelow, Andres Noppert, Remco Pasver. Defenders Virgil van Dijk, Nathan Ake, Daley Blind, Jurien Timber, Desmond Dumfries, Stefan de Vrij, Matthias Zelig, Tyrell Malacia, and Jeremy Frimpong. For the midfielder, they have Frankie de Jong, Steven Bergwijn, Davy Klaassen, Tino Koopman, Martin de Roon, Cody Gakpo, Kenneth Taylor, Javi Simmons, and the forwards consist of Memphis Depay, Steven Bergwijn, Vincent Janssen, Luke de Jong, Noah Lang, and Walt Workhouse. I mean, that's a pretty good squad when you look at those names and the big names that it has,
Yeah.
especially there on defense. You know, Louis van Gaal has been able to revolutionize the Netherlands team in just a very short time, and they look offensively very good and defensively as well. Jordan, I want to hear from you first.
Well, you know Van Gaal, he's gonna play with five defenders. He's gonna play with three in the middle, and he's gonna play with two attacking, or he might switch to two in the middle and three attacking.
Yeah.
Well, if you see in the defense, all the players that you named are starters. There's not a guy that isn't starting. I guess you could say Malacia isn't starting, but that's because he has tough competition in Manchester United. But you see that defense, and you're like, it's gonna be hard to get points off these guys, especially because they play so defensive. The attacking is no joke either because they have Gori Kakpo coming off just winning Player of the Month in the Eredivisie. You got Wout Workhurst playing in Besiktas, a striker, and you have a good goalie, Jordan Birchlau, who's playing a very good season with Feyenoord in the Europa League. So looking around this whole team, I think probably their best thing, but the thing that could bite them is having not that many midfielders. Being too defensive could bite them in the ass.
Yeah, that's another thing that when you're looking at this squad, and Wijnaldum, a big presence at midfielder. Um, it's true that they don't have you look at the midfielders, you have De Jong, Klaassen, Koopmeiners, De Roon, Taylor, and Xavi Simmons. Taylor and Simmons, very young midfielders, promising midfielders, but they don't offer that, leadership and experience that someone like Wijnaldum has. Um, Junior, your thoughts on this Netherlands team?
Yeah, I just want to like start off with like I don't think they're necessarily defensive. I just know that I feel like they're more structured. That's how Van Gaal always builds his teams from the back forward. If he gets his back sorted out first, then you know he likes to play from the back. His teams.
Yeah,
So I feel like yeah, they are. I actually think they're gonna struggle up front for so like yeah again like their midfield is yeah there's just gonna be two players in there, but I feel like they're gonna struggle. That's the reason like because of that in the midfield they're not gonna be able to send as many balls in to their forwards just because of how they're the lineup. So, but they're still gonna attack to the with either what's his name Dumfries
Dumfries.
or yeah Dumfries or I don't know if he's gonna put who did he play last time? Was it Frimpong?
Malacia and Dumfries.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like up to them if they're how well they're gonna be going forward because if a team like shuts them down, and I don't think there are no team on this roster, and we'll go into that later on. But I mean, in this group, that could actually, scare Netherlands or give Netherlands a big fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So I
funny
feel
because in the Europa League and the Europa Cup, I mean, a Euro Cup,
hmm
Dumfries was the guy that was making all the plays,
yeah,
and their
that,
strikers were the ones that weren't producing. I think that's what cost them last tournament. So hopefully they
yeah,
learn from that
and
mistake.
that's what I'm going for. Like Memphis Depay hasn't been playing, and I feel like that's their biggest player up front, along with Gakpo, and Gakpo's in form. But if Memphis Depay is not producing for Gakpo, or like Gakpo is just by himself, and I don't think. I mean, like me personally, I like a poacher kind of striker, but if they're not producing enough crosses and good crosses for Luke De Jong or Vincent Janssen, then or Weghorst, that's gonna be they're gonna have a hard time, especially because they're not gonna be tested in this group stage, and then they go into facing a better rival, and they're not. I just don't think they're gonna be up for it, but it might be a dark horse here if they could get their motors running because they have Xavi Simmons has been playing beautiful football for PSV. I'm surprised because he was a PSG. Embarrassing what he was doing in PSG. Like, is not the player that he was at Barcelona. So I feel like being under Van Gaal and then being in with his compatriots in Netherlands that he kind of got it together and he's like he can see how much potential this guy has.
Right. Up next, we got Qatar. Um, these are going to be little names that I'm going to be struggling with. So I
Oh yeah.
apologize in advance. So I'm going to just try to say their last names and hopefully we can do that. So for their goalkeepers, they have Al Shib, Basham, and Hassan. For the defenders, they have Pedro Miguel, Kadir, Salman, Al Rawi, Koki, Hassan, Ahmed, and Gaber. For the midfielders, they have Assad, Madabo, Wad, Al Khajiri, Tarek, Bodiaf, Hatim, and Mohammad. For the forwards, they have Al Khadrani, Al Andini, Al Haidos, Munir, Afif, Ali, and Montari. I really don't know much about this team. I believe this was the team that gave Mexico and U.S. problems when they faced each other. Um, Other than that, I'm not real familiar with this team. Jordan, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I remember they were invited to the play in the CONCACAF tournament, and if I remember correctly, I think they knocked out Mexico.
I don't remember.
Because I think they knocked out Mexico, and the USA played Panama in the semifinals, and then they played in the finals against each other. Because I remember that Qatar team surprised everybody, and I think it
Yeah,
was
I
not
remember that.
that they're very good, but more of they just didn't expect Qatar to be there to do what they did. So I could see these guys being a bit of a surprise to Senegal, Netherlands, and Ecuador. But the most I see them doing is getting a draw from those games. They have a very good player, their captain. I don't know his name, but he played pretty well against USA and Mexico. And that's they. All I could see is their expectations are low, so you can only go up from here.
Also, the thing I looked it up that it was the against the U.S. the semifinal, and U.S. beat them 1-0. I think it was a header. Now that I'm
Oh yeah, that's what it
trying to
was.
remember, something like that. Yeah, 86 minute. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. They're very structured, and the reason why they're very structured and play very team-like is because I feel like well, not I feel like I think I remember that almost all of their players play for Al Sadd in Qatar, so they're very familiar with each other. So that's why they play very, compact and very.
Yeah, it's like when Barcelona were in Spain in 2010.
When Barcelona won the World Cup, crazy to think a
Yep.
club could win a World Cup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're not gonna get into that discussion yet.
I think.
All right. Senegal, the next team. The goalkeeper, they got Edouard Mendy, Alfred Gomez, and Steny Dieng. For the defender, they have Kalidou Koulibaly, Abdou Diallo, Yusuf Sabali, Adebayo Torre, Pape Abou Ismail Jacob, Formose Mendy. For the midfielders, they have Idrissa Gueye, Chik Kouyaté, Mpalis Mandi, Kripin Diata, Pape Gueye, Papi Matar Sar, Pati says, Mustafa Mname, Lumnin Ndiaye. For the forwards, you have Ismail Assar, Bulai Dia, Bama Diagne, Mamadou Dihido, Nicholas Jackson, and Iliman Ndiaye. So right off the top, you'll know that Sadio Mane got ruled out of the World Cup due to his injury. So
Rip.
very, very, very thin on the forward line. Midfielders, you have some well-known players there like Idrissa Gueye, Koyate, and Mendy. And in the defense, you have some real standout defenders like Koulibaly and Diallo. And at back, you have Mendy, who's has been a little bit not himself this season with Chelsea, but still a really top goalkeeper. Um, Junior, what are your thoughts about this Senegal team?
Yeah, like you said, that looking at the like you always being a little bit like Van Gaal, you trying to like build your team from the back, so you want a like a really good goalkeeper, and Mendy is one of those, and he just hasn't been at that level. But I feel like when he plays for Senegal, he's he stepped it up. So I feel like they're kind of good in that front. And then, like you said, the defense is stacked and very organized. All of them are really stand-up players, top clubs in the midfield as well. And then the forward line, like you said, that's where Sadio, like the team was built around Sadio Mane, and them not having Sadio Mane kind of throws a wrench in their team. So I feel, and I still feel they're probably gonna make it through just because they have so much strength in the other areas that other teams are just not gonna be able to like face them off one on ones type of thing. So I feel like this is my pick for I don't know what we're not doing now, but my pick to being first in the group.
Wow.
Even without Sadio Mane, I mean Sadio Mane, I thought it would just make them like be top of the group. Remember they're AFCON champions, so.
Jordan, any thoughts on this?
Mikael Zipara.
Jesus Christ, Jordan.
I was just kidding. I didn't watch Senegal. I didn't watch them win the AFCON. But I do know some of these players. And if they could pull off what they did winning the AFCON, I feel like my team might give trouble to these other three teams, Qatar, Ecuador, Netherlands. Even though they might not have the strongest attack, I feel like the defense will help them win these games.
Alrighty,
You say Koulibaly, Diallo, Gaya. They're all defensive players, but they could also attack really well. Koulibaly is pretty good on the headers.
And his long balls.
Has an amazing long shot. Like I can see this team sneaking in, especially when you have Mendy, who I think should have probably won the goalkeeper of the year from taking it from Donnarumma.
Yeah.
But that's a very impressive team.
All right.
Might not have the biggest names, but they are a very good team.
This reminds me of when Ivory Coast had that team, and then I don't want Senegal to go down that route. It's always disappointing to have the African champions or the African teams not do well for this or that. I feel like Senegal will be that changing thing, especially because even though that not having Sadio Mane, but I feel like the team is gonna rally on this. Like they don't have Sadio Mane, like let's do it for Sadio Mane, and I feel like that's gonna take them to the top and be more.
All right. So with that, Junior, who do you think? The teams together?
Well, I have Senegal as first, and then the Netherlands.
Wow. Okay. Jordan.
Yeah.
I was muted. Wait up. Something's going wrong with my mic. Wait up.
You go, Jordan.
Well, my picks are first in group Netherlands, and second it's gonna be Qatar.
Oh, second in Qatar. I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't have expected that. But I went the same as Junior, Pedro. I mean, I picked Senegal as first because I just feel like Netherlands
You could
are
call me
always the
Junior.
team that chokes. They're always the team that everybody expects so much from, but they always fall flat. So that's why I put them in second. I put Senegal in first, just because I feel like the unknown is what's going to help them win. No
All
one's going
right,
to expect it. They're going to be like, "Oh, man is not there," so they're going to not play up to their full potential. They're going to play them at it like a 70% because they're like, "Oh, they don't have Mane."
all right.
That's why I picked them.
So the next group is Group B with England, USA, Wales, and Iran. Um, so England squad consists of the goalkeepers, Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsey, and Nick Pope. You got defenders, Kieran Tripper, Trent, Kyle Walker, Ben White, Maguire, John Stones, Eric Dyer, Conor Cody, and Luke Shaw. The midfielder consists of Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount. The forward line consists of Kane, Wilson, Rashford, Sterling, Saka, Foden, Grealish, and Madison. Junior, I'm gonna go with you first on this England team.
This is the favorites, right? For everybody.
Yeah.
This is it's coming home. They're not. I don't. My opinions on this England team is they underachieve. It's not. You see, like you said, just look at this squad and then you're like, wow,
Very good on paper.
yeah. But then you see them play like this is the same team we just named. Like, no way.
Yeah.
So I feel like again they're gonna, they're probably gonna make it through, but again, I don't think they're gonna go that far if they don't get it. If by the first, or I don't know, by the end of the group stage, they're not playing some good football as they should be, and it's mostly down to the formation and who he picks. It's not. I'm not necessarily impressed by just seeing the names. You're like, wow, this team. I mean, if I have had this team in FIFA, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm winning. I'm winning some games with this team.
Right.
But not with Southgate.
Right.
They're kind of likeless. And even though they made it to final, still, you know,
Yeah.
for going for the first one, I don't think Pickford should be the goalkeeper. I just don't know why he keeps picking Pickford. I don't like him as the goalkeeper for, I just feel like he makes too much errors. I don't know. He doesn't bring any confidence. I see him play. It's like, this guy's gonna make a mistake.
Yeah.
I would prefer if he would play Aaron Ramsdale, which is I hate saying that. But I feel like Ramsdale is the one to go, and he's just not gonna do that, and that's not gonna go well for them.
Yeah, let me just say something.
Yeah.
Calvin, do we have to name every player of the team? Dude, it's gonna take forever, dude. We're fucking 40 minutes in. We're barely in the second group.
Well, yeah, I mean, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but we gotta
Yeah,
evaluate the squad.
it's our first. It's our first. It's our first one. Our first one's gonna be probably the longest.
Yeah, but I could just see someone like listening and like whatever, and they're like, "Holy fuck, bro, Group C." Just name the starters. I think that would be better.
I don't know who's gonna be the damn starter for this team.
Well, just name like two players from both positions. be like, oh, Reece James, and then the other right back.
Reece James not going.
Well, that's an example.
Yeah,
Like
no,
Arnold, and then
I feel like it's on like this just because we're getting our
or just
footing.
name the players that we know.
No, it's just gonna take long because we gotta evaluate. I'm saying all the names, so we gotta evaluate the squad.
Yeah, just keep it short to when we say stuff. All right, go your and say it again, Kalvin, so you know where to say it. So you cut all that out.
Don't cut it out.
All right, then go.
Well, I look at this England team and I see that they could come out of this group and win it. I feel like even with Southgate, I think this team might just win it without him having to be involved in it. I feel like this team is playing it for them. They don't care about Southgate. They don't care about the mockery of the Euros of missing the penalties. They're a solid team. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, a lot of criticism was on Southgate when he first named his squad because of, one of the big names that I look is Harry Maguire being called up. He's not even playing for Manchester United. So, a lot of questionable call-up, Trent not playing with the national team. I don't know if he's going to be playing it's going to be in Southgate's 11, but, you see this, even Jack Grealish up front that some have called into consideration his call-up and why he was even picked by Southgate. But, yeah, a lot of good talent, great talent, a lot of attacking power. You look at this England squad and you desire more from them and you want more from them because their
Yeah,
potential
exactly.
going forward. Um, I still think he's gonna play with a back five and two midfielders and three attackers, or maybe three midfielders. But yeah, it's they do have a good squad, but we'll see how they come up against the bigger teams of this tournament. All right, on to the next. Iran. Um, I'm just gonna stand out the standout names of the squad. You got Saman Ghoddos in midfield, Aliza Jahanbach, which used to be a Brighton player, Sardar Asmon, a striker, and Mehdi Taremi that plays for Porto. Any thoughts on this Iran team?
It's that we don't know much about.
Yeah,
Really, I just
From all the names you've named, they're more attacking names. I think the defense might be the thing that, like any other team that has very good strikers, the defense is the thing that's probably going to crush them, especially in a group with England, USA, and Wales. But there are solid players. Taremi is a very good Porto player.
yeah. It's only the big standout in this team that
yeah. I think
And
is
it's
gonna
before
be
we
the
go
still
any
focal point of
longer,
this team.
I
a
hope
team
all
that
these teams win. I hope all these teams do good.
Yeah,
Because we're not saying that they suck. We're saying that it's hard.
yeah,
This is a hard tournament.
Yeah, it's a team that one of these nations can underestimate, and they could become very difficult
yeah,
to
and
pick
especially
teams.
because they're like us. They're not. Well, I hope not, but I feel like they should study their rivals. But
Right.
back in the day, they didn't. They're just like, who's playing? Huh? I never. If you didn't play for the big clubs, then forget about it. They knew nothing of you.
Yeah, and against teams like England, USA, and Wales, I think he's just gonna sit back and try to hit them in the counter. It's gonna become super tricky for them.
They could be the Turkey of this tournament.
All right, up next, the USA. USA. USA, USA. All right, goalkeepers. We have Matt Turner, Sean Johnson, and Stefan
Wait,
Horvath.
did we even explain we're from the United States?
Well,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure people can tell by now.
yeah.
I guess people will understand why Junior was so mad because we did go against them in the American Revolution.
All right, defenders: Cameron
Don't like
Carter-Vickers,
the accent.
Sergino Dest, Aaron Long, Jack Moore, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, Joe Scally, Andre Yedlin, and Walker Zimmerman. For the midfielder, we have Brendan Aronson, Dylan Acosta, Tyler Adams, Luca de la Torre, Weston McKenna, Jonas Musa, Christian Roldan. And for the forward, we have Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Joshua Target, Timothy Ware, and Haji Wright. I feel I'm obligated to go to Junior first because he's been a big advocate towards Greg Berhalter.
I've been a what?
You've been a big criticism of Greg Berhalter.
Well, yeah, I feel like he wants to and I get it. The system is important, but and when you're doing a team, it's not how you want to play. It's just like who do you have, who's available, who's in form, who's your best players, and I feel he doesn't do that. Like, and I hope he proves me wrong because, but what we've seen is just like the same with England. You see this team and you're like, you see the potential in this. Like, you're just disappointed that they don't play at such a high level, and they get brought us joy with the CONCACAF Nations League and the Gold Cup, but at the same time, is who did we beat? You know what I mean? Like it's just they weren't even at where they could be as well, or opponents. It's just I expect so much more of this team, you know, especially
Yeah,
because the reason because I'm a big follower of Mexico as well, but the reason I was like, yeah, I'm gonna root for the U.S. is just because how cocky our parents or my parents or my tios were about Mexico is so much better than the U.S. and I'm like, you all see. So it's just to spite them in some sense.
yeah, and
So
I feel like
go ahead.
recently just the performances from the US have been lackluster, and um, I think there was 0 goals in their preseason, you know, their
Yeah, and the
season,
friendlies, not the
their
cup.
friendlies,
Heading up to the
so
World Cup.
it's leading up to the World Cup, which is a
Yeah,
little
and that's
boring.
the
And
that was the big thing was like, why didn't you call this guy? Why didn't you call this guy? They're making goals, and
right,
it's kind of like,
I,
well, I mean, you gotta trust this guy, you know?
I forget his name, but the striker for Union Berlin that currently sits top of the table is like, why didn't you call this guy when he's been outperforming most of our strikers?
Yeah, but like I
Um,
said, he's
Yeah,
sticking
Jordan,
with the
right?
system.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you see any other issues? The midfielder, is pretty much going to be Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, and Weston McKennie and Yunus Mosa, fighting for their starting lineups. Christian Rodon, a solid squad player. Kevin Acosta, Luca de Torre. Um, I don't know. Would you have
again.
called anybody different?
Mm, yeah, John Anthony Brooks. That's the big. I know he hasn't called him up since I think 2019.
Yeah.
But John Anthony Brooks is just I don't know. Like he's been playing at Wolfsburg consistently. So I don't know why he wasn't on this team. I wanted to see him like being partnered with the other players in this team and see how well they gel. But yeah, that's a big omission right there to me,
Yeah.
especially when that's always been the issue with in the U.S. how their defense is not up to par with other teams. But I mean, we haven't. It's not like they get like battered as well, but they just it's just risky. Anytime they go on attack, you're like, oof.
Right. Yeah. And
So their
I don't
defense
think
again.
I don't think we're not all surprised by the exclusion of Zach Steffen. I think Matt Turner, Sean Johnson, and Ethan Horvath have
Well,
have
that's
earned
another one.
have earned the
And I
right
was like,
to be called up.
yeah, I get that, but he's been your starter for this whole process that he likes to call it. So I don't know why not even being in the top three. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of like that was a curveball to me.
And I guess that goes to your point that you were saying that you know that he's sticking to the guys that have gone through the process. But if he didn't
Yeah, so
have
that's
any
why.
problem leaving out Stefan, why didn't he leave some of these other guys for you know?
Yeah, yeah, that was a big like, huh? He didn't call him. Wow.
Well, I think it's interesting that you say that they're like England, but we got to remember this is our first World Cup. We missed the last World Cup, so expectations are should be lowered. We shouldn't be expecting them to do that much. We should see them maybe getting out of the group, but getting to the round of 16 or quarterfinals. That's what people want them to do. But I feel like this is a good building year. Even if we
Yeah,
lose in the round of 16 or in the quarterfinals, I think all they have to do is show great match performances. Because it is a very young team. I think that's what kills teams in the World Cup is when you have a very inexperienced team. But
Right.
they are very solid. I am riding with Berhalter. I do like the players that he called up, and we'll see what he does in this group.
All right. Up next, the Wales team. And goalkeepers, you have Wayne Hennessy, Danny Ward, Adam Davis. Defenders, you have Ben Davis, Ben Kapango, Tom Locker, Joe Roder, and Chris Methan. Ethan Ampadu, Chris Gunter, Nico Williams, Connor Roberts. And midfielders, you have Sorda Thomas, Joe Allen, Matthew Smith, Dylan Levitt, Harry Wilson, Joe Morrell, Johnny Williams, Aaron Ramsey, Ruben Colwell. And for the forwards, you got Gareth Bale, Kiefer Moore, Mark Harris, Brennan Johnson, and Daniel James. When you look at the front three, one of the things that just comes to mind is speed. With Gareth Bale, Brennan Johnson, and Daniel James, that's that is a speedy front three. If any if any squad has one. Um, the old reliables of the Wales midfielder Joe Allen and Aaron Ramsey are there. I question what
That
kind
is
of level Ramsey will be coming into the World Cup. If he will be the old Ramsey of the Wales team, or we'll see the lackluster Ramsey that we've seen with Juventus. Um, in the
what we're
defense, you
talking
got
about.
some notable
It's
names:
Leo for you guys.
Ben Davis, Joe Rodon, Chris Midfan, Ethan Ampadu, Nico Williams, and Connor Roberts. Wayne Hennessy, a very good goalkeeper for Wales. Um, very good squad overall. What are your thoughts, Jordan?
They very barely sneaked in, beating Ukraine. It's a very good team. Very a lot of players and names you've heard of. Oh, he's in the Premier League team. He's in. I feel like this team could give England and USA a lot of trouble. I kind of see them as I picked them as my dark horse,
spoiler alert.
but I love Wales. I feel like they're the team that has always tethered on the level of being very good or very bad. And I feel in the Euro 2016, when they stunned everybody and made it very far, I feel that's how they've been building off that every year.
Junior, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like the same. It's a team that's kind of consistent, the same in the sense that you know what their lineup is going to be. Like, there's not going to be any surprises with this team. Like, this team is very, you know, like
Yeah.
this is the team, and this is this is our starting 11, and it hasn't changed in a sad
They're very
second.
reliable.
Yeah, they're just like they're very like, and I feel like that's their strength that they know each other so well. They play with each other so much that they're kind of know what they could get each other as a team, and they know what they're capable of. Because when you saw their games and how they went about like playing the other teams. Like they were not necessarily the favorites for any of the matches in some sense, but they would still stick it out and win.
Right.
Yeah,
Especially
another
with
thing I want
Gareth.
to add is that they have a lot of chemistry. When you see them, they look like they're all friends. And
Yeah.
I think chemistry is a very important thing to have, especially coming into a big tournament. And I don't really see that with other squads in this year.
Yeah. I think this Wales squad is going to be relying on what kind of form Gareth Bale is in. Um, Obviously he's their star player, but he is going to need some support from Brennan Johnson that um kind of finding his groove in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest and Daniel James that been in hasn't been his best at Fulham, but we'll see what he can do. Um, your my two to get out of the group is England at first place and USA in second. Uh, Jordan, your two.
My first, a bit of a shocker, USA in first.
Whoa!
And then another shocker, I see Wales getting out of that group. I think an
Wow!
injury might happen. I don't know. Maybe they just can't match up right against Iran or Wales. They maybe lose points there. But I could see England having a real shit show.
All right, uh, Junior, your two for
No,
Group A.
that was unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah, I no, I just don't think it'll go that far. I feel like England make it through as leaders. They're gonna scrap out these wins. They're not gonna be, like I said, they're not impressive, but what they do is they scrap out wins. They keep
yeah,
doing it. That's how they got to the final. It's just like this team was just that little bit was enough. Just being not, I was gonna say mediocre, but they're not mediocre. It's just like they just they just gave it just that 1% more that they needed, and that's it. They don't do more that needed. So I feel like it's gonna be England, and then the U.S. I think Wales are. I feel like the U.S. are especially focused on that Wales game. They want to win that one game,
yeah,
and I because I feel like the U.S. as a whole thinks they're gonna get a win with Iran, but I feel like their main focus is that Wales game. They want to get that win because they feel like their direct competitor for that second place, like I said. So
yeah.
England, U.S.
Alrighty. This is where we start getting the big teams of the tournament. You know, usually our semifinals are these are the teams that you usually see in these type of games. So Group C, Argentina, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Poland. Um, Argentina's squad is goalkeepers Emiliano Martinez, Geronimo Rulli, Franco Armani. Defenders Namuel Molina, Gonzalo Montiel, Cristian Romero, Germán Pesela, Nicolas Otamendi, Lisandro Martinez, Marcos Acuña, Nicolas Tiaglioffo, Juan Foyth, Rodrigo de Paul, Leandro Paredes, Alexis McAllister, Guido Rodriguez, Papu Gomez, Enzo Fernandez, Ezequiel Palacios, and the forwards Messi, Di Maria, Martinez, Lautaro Martinez, Julian Alvarez, Paulo Dybala, Angel Correa, and Thiago Almada. So two stars that got dropped from the Argentina squad um, because of injury was
Joaquin Correa, he got injured.
Giovanni Lo Celso and Nicolas Gonzalez and Joaquin Correa. So they've all been substituted
I know Almada
by
got in.
Angel
Yeah,
Correa and
Almada
Thiago
came in
Almada.
for Joaquin Correa.
Mm.
So right off the top, you see a squad not that far away from the squad that we've seen from the Copa America. Um, you see a squad that are really trying to play for Messi and trying to win for Messi. That midfielder, it's a very, very very hard tackling midfielder with Depor and Leandro Paredes alone. Um, that defense is very secure now, not very faulty like previous years that we see from Argentina. And the old reliable Lionel Messi. Um, very, very strong squad. What are your thoughts, Jordan?
I think people would say this as the World Cup favorite. Obviously, Portugal is there too as a World Cup favorite, but it's this team goes as Messi goes. A team like I said with Wales, they have a lot of chemistry. These players love each other. They'll play with each other. It gives off like a movie vibe. Like this is gonna be their year, and that's all I really have to say.
Junior, your thoughts?
Yeah, the same. I feel like this team is the best team in this World Cup, even though I feel like Brazil can play like the best football just in general. I feel like Argentina just has that thing that World Cup winners have or winning teams have. They're just like you're like, oh wow, they made it. And then, like you said, having Messi, the team doing it for Messi, I think this is his year. I don't want to, you know, jinx him, but I feel like this is the year. This is the best Argentina team I've seen. Like from past years, this team can actually do it.
If
Starting from the
any
back, their
year,
defense is
any
solid.
year,
Yeah, if any, like this is it, and especially because Messi said I think this was his final World Cup. I feel like yeah,
last World
he's gonna
Cup.
end on a high note. It's gonna end on a high note.
Hopefully, he does.
Yeah. Messi with PSG currently has been playing for some of his best football lately. I feel like he's up for it. The squad is up for it. Um, and hopefully they can do it and give Messi the. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would trade in all his club trophies for this one, and
Not,
let's see if he can do it.
yeah, you could trade the PSG one.
All right, the Mexico squad. We have Ochoa, Talavera, and Cota in goalkeepers. The defense consists of Kevin Alvarez, Nestor Araujo, Gerardo Ortega, Jesus Gallardo, Hector Moreno, Cesar Montes, Jorge Sanchez, and Johan Vasquez. In midfield, you have Edson Alvarez, Roberto Alvarado, Uriel Antuna, Luis Chavez, Andrés Guardado, Eric Gutierrez, Hector Herrera, Orbelín Pineda, Chaca Rodriguez, and Luis Romo. And you have Funes Mori, Raúl Jiménez, Erwin Lozano, Henry Martin, Alexis Vega. Um, I don't think you got any surprises in this Mexico team apart from maybe Corona being out because of injury. Um, maybe Carlos Vela and Chicharito not being included in this World Cup team, where you could probably say that it was probably going to be their last World Cup. Um, any thoughts on this team? Junior?
Yeah, justice for Santi Jimenez. That's it. The same with other teams that you see their squad and you see that they could do more. I always felt Mexico under Tata Martino was underwhelming. It's just you see the squad how fast, how good it could be, and you see little tidbits here and there, and they just don't perform at that high level. Like again, like I said, against the U.S. or that Gold Cup and the Nations League, I feel like Mexico could have done better and could have won if they had a different coach.
Jordan, your thoughts?
I feel like the last World Cup was the end of an era of Mexico being competitive. I feel like they have slowly been dropping in quality, even though they have younger players. Irving Lozano is probably their best player, I love Mexico. I want them to do good, but also there's the federation there that's not changing. They don't do anything. They bring in the same guys. They don't really help the team. They alienate players. And I feel like Bebote, Santi Jimenez should have been called up, but I feel like they just went with Raul Jimenez just because he has a bigger name currently, not just because of his form. And I feel like that's what keeps Mexico from going forward is the people upstairs and the board.
Yeah,
Like no matter the way they play, I feel like they always play in big stages. They play their matches, especially in the World Cup against Argentina. They always score.
yeah. If we talk about how much progress the U.S. has made in football in the past years, we can talk about how it's declined in Mexico. You know, um, I said as all three of us as Mexicans, we still want them to give a good showing,
Oh,
but
Mexican American.
but yeah, it's I don't know, it's gonna be tough for the Mexican team.
We love them though. I can't stress that enough. I love Mexico.
Yeah, we follow both of these teams to death
Yeah,
until it's U.S. Mexico. Then gotta go with the U.S.
But I just feel like this team could surprise though, even if people are like saying
Yeah,
that they suck. They
because
could surprise still.
again, once it's Mexico in the World Cup, it's the whole different Mexico. They could be like they could lose their like their games, and then they go to the World Cup, and then like this is the Mexico I want to see.
Yeah,
yeah,
and they have a lot of young
But
people.
under
Cesar Montes, Andres Guardado is an old stable guy. He's been at the World Cup 4 times. This is gonna be his fourth time. I feel like this team could surprise out of this group.
this is sixth time.
Fifth time, isn't it?
No, they've been to 5 World Cups. Him and Memo Ochoa.
Oh, Bleacher Report put it that it's his fourth World Cup.
Are you sure?
It's his fifth World Cup, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we'll check that later. I'll
I'm
check it
looking
later.
right now.
all right. Let's go off to the Polish team. You
Yeah,
have Chesney, Dragowski, and Skóropski as goalkeepers. Bednarek, Glig, Goni, Matthew Cash, notable names in their defense. For the midfield, you have Bielik, Grosowski, Prishwak, Zelinski. And the forwards, you have Lewandowski, Milik, and Piatek.
I
Um,
feel like I should have said the names since I'm Polish adjacent. Let's just say that.
yeah, I feel like you would have
Please don't talk about your personal life.
you would have got
Go on
more.
the fashion.
You would have done better with these names, but um, overall, just a squad that feels like that needs a little bit more to supplement Lewandowski. They've always felt like it was a one man team, and I don't feel like this Polish team has create enough for Lewandowski to get him out of the group stage.
That's another one of these teams that is just their starting 11 that's pretty much set. You know who's gonna play, so that like chemistry, but at the same time, they're just not there where they could be bigger teams, and they're like another underwhelming team. You
Yeah.
see their players, and you're like, wow, this team could really do something, and they could be solid. Because again, you don't need star players in every position necessarily. You just need solid players, know what their role is, and grind it out and do the best for your squad. Do you want to say anything, Jordan? You're the biggest Lewandowski fan.
I love Lewandowski, Borussia Dortmund, but I feel like Poland is coming into their team. They have a lot of youngsters in that team with Lewandowski. but I feel like they struggle in big stages. Every time there's a big game with Poland, they seem to always struggle. Even if it's a Nations League game going against Portugal, they always struggle. They never quite appear in big stages. And I feel like this World Cup could give them an opportunity to change that. But again, it's a very tough group with Argentina, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. And by the way, it is Andres Guardado's fifth World Cup.
All right. Congrats.
Just saying, I saw that. Yeah, I don't know how you could play six. That would be impossible.
Not necessarily.
He would have to have been playing until like 16 years old, I think.
Well, he was really young when he went to the World Cup. What is that?
Yeah,
They
in
call him Principito.
2006. He played 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018, and 2022. He's going to play. Him and Messi and Ronaldo are joining, what's his name?
Five clubbers. Five clubbers.
Yeah, and some other two guys. I forget their names. I just saw the post on Bleacher Report football. But in Poland, the great jerseys. I don't know if we have talked about the jerseys. I love their simple red and white jersey. But that's all I have on Poland.
All right. The next team is Saudi Arabia. I don't know any of their notable squad members, but still a pretty decent unit team. Hard to break down. Again, caused problem for the Polish and Mexican teams. Anything you guys want to add to that?
No, the same with those other squads that are kind of like smaller, or they're kind of like in the sense that they know like who are our best players, and then we get our best players in, and they have their like starting 11 set. You know where you're gonna get from them, team wise.
Sure.
Yeah. I feel like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Iran have this underdog to them where you want them to root. You want them to win, I mean. You root for them to win because they're such a new type of team to this World Cup. They don't have. They may not have star-studded names, but this could be a chance to give a player, like if they have a very good performance, this could give a chance to a player to move to a bigger club. So I could just see them. I don't expect anything from them, but I expect them to come into the matches and give a team a game. I don't want to see them just lie down and take a beating. I want to see them fight because I think even if you lose, you could lose gracefully. But it is hard because, again, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, they all have great strikers.
All right, so Jordan, you're due to get out of the group stage.
At number 2, I have Mexico. I could see them squeaking wins out of Saudi Arabia and Poland, even getting a draw against Argentina. I could see that. And then I have Argentina in the lead. Maybe from goal difference, I could see them tying with second place.
All right, Junior.
Argentina takes the team. I feel like it's gonna be tasked with Poland and Mexico, obviously, because Mexico, like, they always rise to occasion and they play against bigger teams. So I feel like they could scrap out a draw, but I feel like they might even hopefully go for a win. But again, Argentina wins the group, and Mexico, I don't think Poland's up to the tournament. It happened in the Euros, it happened in the Nations League. It just, like Jordan says, like, you see their squad and they're capable of more, but then, you know, kind of crumbles, especially when your team is just based around one guy, and the teams know that, so they lock that one guy, and that's game plan is over.
Yeah, and I
So
feel like some teams, whenever they have a star player like that, they're like, "Oh, he's gonna do it." It's like, no, you guys have to step up. It can't
yeah.
just be him.
So Argentina,
Yep,
Mexico.
yeah, no changes. Argentina winning the group and Mexico getting
Yeah, I
second.
feel like this is our first where we all agree. That's funny.
It would be funny if it doesn't happen. Everybody else, the one that we all like, yeah, that's gonna happen. It doesn't happen.
All right, Group D, you have Australia, France, Denmark, and Tunisia. Um, Start off with Australia. Australia team, notable names, Matt Ryan, a goalkeeper. Um, Midfielders, Aaron Moy, and their forwards, Matthew Leckie and Jamie McLaren. Um, yeah, Australia usually have a good squad, good team. Um, can give teams trouble.
They barely sink into the World Cup too.
Yeah. Um, don't see them getting out of the group stage, but Junior or Jordan, you got anything else to add?
I feel
Mm,
like they could be a team that gives a draw to these bigger teams in the group, but they don't really have that much in the defense. They've got lucky in penalties. Like any team does in penalties, there's luck in that. But I feel like they have nothing to lose, so might as well try your best.
All right, Denmark team. You have Kappers Michael in in goal. You have Simon Kjær, Joachim Andersen, Joachim Mail, Anders Christensen, Rasmus Christensen, um, and Daniel Wals as notable defenders. In midfield, you have names like Delaney, Jensen, Eriksson, Forsberg, Nordgaard, and Skov. And forwards, you got Cornelius, Braithwaite, Dolberg, Damsgaard, Poulsen, Gov Olsen, and Jonas Wind. Um, I mean, I don't got to remind everybody of what this team was able to do at 8 rounds. A very unified squad after that horrible incident that happened with Eriksson. And now Eriksson is in the team, so I feel like this team can do a surprise in the World Cup. They have very good midfielders and very good forwards. And Kepper Schmeichel still one of the one of the best goalkeepers. And you got defenders with great leadership like Simon Kjær, and in that defense, I think this is a very good team. Your thoughts, Junior?
Yeah, like you said, like they're gonna rally against Ericsson. They perform. Like you see this team, and it's not like they don't have good players. This is a team that has good players. There could be a dark horse. They could do something more than other teams and other people give them credit for. They're kind of a stable squad, like solid. Like if you saw this, like this team could do. It reminds me of that Greece back in the Euros, and you had some notable names, nothing out of the ordinary, but once they play together, it's like they could close down teams. They could do more than people think that they could.
Yeah. Jordan?
I love Denmark. I love that
You just
team.
said you love Poland. You can't
I
have
love
what
all
all
the
loves.
teams. I love Denmark. I've played with them in FIFA. They have very good team. A lot of good names. Delaney's one of them, although he's not may not be doing as good as Sevilla. They have Daniel Vaz, who's at Atletico Madrid. They have Christensen from Red Bull Leipzig. They have the other Christensen who plays for Chelsea. Sam Kajar, they plays for AC Milan. Kasper Schmeichel, who plays for all these teams. I could keep going on and on. These are all quality players that have somehow come together with Denmark, with Christensen, with Ericsson, I mean, and played on a fantastic style of football. They made it to the round of 16, or the quarterfinals, I mean, in the Euros. And I feel like this team could have gone further if it wasn't for what happened to Christian Eriksen. I think that was the missing piece in the later games. It's I could see them stunning people. They could be a dark horse, but I feel they're amazing. That's all I can say. They have a lot of good players.
All right. Up next to the France squad. The current title holders for the cup. You have goalkeepers Ariola, Lloris, Steve Mandana. Defenders Axel Disasi, Lucas Hernandez, Teo Hernandez, Ibrahima Konate, Jules Conde, Benjamin Pavard, William Saliba, Dayota Pomecano, and Rafael Varane. In midfield, you have Eduardo Camavinga, Yusuf Fofana, Mateo Guendouzi, Adrian Rabiot, Marin Tchouameni, Jordan Veretout. And then forward, you have Benzema, Kingsley Coman, Ousmane Dembele, Oliver Giroud, Antoine Griezmann, Kylian Mbappe, Marcus Thuram, and Rondon Colomani. Obviously, right off the back, you're missing the names of Pogba, Kante, and what was the other guy that was injured for France?
And Kunko.
Cuckoo.
And Kunku, yes. And also Kimpembe and Mike Magnan, notable team names that are not at the Francis squad. Um, very, very, very good squad. Um, I think we talked about how important Kante was for that World Cup win. Um, I think he leaves a big hole, more bigger than Pogba's in that squad. Um, they do have some very good players going forward. Um, their defense, I don't know how they're gonna how they will set up, how they're gonna make sure that structure is good. Because I feel like recently they've been playing with a five at the back to try to fit in Benzema, Mbappe, and Griezmann all together. But one of the favorites to win the World Cup. Jordan, what are your thoughts on this France squad?
Are they taking Giroud?
Yes.
Unstoppable. I see they're the defending champs. That usually goes bad for the defending champs in World
Yep.
Cups. But I can't say anything else. You've said already everything. Conte is missing the big part of the team. But taking Benzema, I think Benzema struggles with Mbappe and Griezmann. They have to figure out how they want to play there. I think Giroud needs to be in the starting lineup. That's about it. I have nothing else on France. I think Junior is more capable of being able to tell you about France. So take it away.
You just want me to say my hot takes, and I'm just not ready to take my hot takes right now. But yeah, like you said, I think it would be a mistake if he tries to pair Benzema and with Antoine Griezmann. It's just not gonna work out. This has to be just Kylian Mbappe and Benzema because that's how Mbappe wants to play, and you have Benzema who's super in form right now. So I feel like it would be a mistake if he pairs him with Antoine Griezmann. That maybe coming off the bench would be the best choice. So, like you said, this team looks solid, and it could be cursed by that curse. And it's usually France. They did it. They've done it like 2 times already, where they're imploded. So it wouldn't be a surprise if they did it once again. But they're the favorites of the group, and then they're favorites of the World Cup.
Right. Right. All right. What Tunisia. Some notable names from this Tunisia squad. Um, Kazri, and I don't recognize any other names from these. But again, how we've been saying, one of these teams that can cause problems for these big teams. I think they're going to be easy wins or 3 points gained, but that can just sit back and make it really tough for these bigger teams. Um, Anything else? Want to say anything from for this Tunisia team?
Or another Rekik, Omar Rekik, and Abdenor. I think their defense is kind of set with those two. They're
Uh,
recognizable. I think they've been.
Rikic wasn't called up or afternoon.
They weren't called up?
No.
Oh my god. Forget it. This team is not doing it.
This team's out. I think I'm good.
Last.
I feel like this
This is
team's
the
gonna be the
last,
worst.
the last team in the group. Once again, Africa, you done it again.
All
Again,
righty.
They
like
can't keep
With
getting away with it.
that, we're gonna say the two that are getting out of the group, and this is gonna be I think a shocker. I have Denmark in first and France in second.
bold.
I
That's
think
bold.
I think this France team is gonna struggle. You know, we've seen the struggles in that Euro, and I think Denmark are just collectively the better team from France. Junior, your top two to get out of the group.
Like I said, I mean, like you were saying, it's gonna go down to that France Denmark, and I just think France are gonna overcome Denmark just because of their attacking. If they could get their attacking sorted, right, just Benzema is on form. He could pick up any ball in the area and just he'll score a goal. And I feel like Denmark will they will know how dangerous he is, but you also got Mbappe coming at full speed. It's just I think their attack is not gonna they're not Denmark's not gonna be up for it. So I have Denmark I mean, yeah, France going first and then Denmark second.
Jordan, your two.
I just want to say this, just so people know, we are recording this on Thursday, so if there's any changes to teams, we have no idea.
Yeah, this is pre group stage. Once it's the group stage, we're gonna give another hot take, or definite hot take. See how they're playing, and
But
then
I
we'll
see France,
figure it out.
even though they do have this curse on them, I see them winning this group. I see them probably getting demolished in the quarterfinals around 16. I feel like people are gonna be like, the curse is in real, the curse is in real, and it's gonna happen, and that's gonna be a bummer for French people. But I love Denmark. I put my second. I still don't see them being able to topple France. But I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong here. I do love Denmark. That's all I have on the group. I have no idea with Australia or